Hey, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Tami, and I'm your host, and I'm so thankful that you're here. If this is your first time at The Full Weight of Joy, welcome. I already said it. I'm so glad you're here. And today I got such a fun message for you. I got a fun little acrostic that I'm going to talk about with legacy, and I really want to hit home that what are we even doing here if we are not doing something that matters? So, are you a Marvel fan? Like I used to be a big Marvel fan. I loved, um, you know, Captain America and who doesn't love Ant-Man? And all of that whole series. And one of the most shocking ones for me, one of the ones that shook me a little bit was Black Panther. And the crazy thing is I didn't know who Chad Boseman was before Black Panther. I realized after, I'm like, I've seen him play in a couple of things, but I didn't know this actor who took the Marvel community by storm. And when I started to look at his story, because as soon as he came into the picture, he quickly left. And not just left Marvel, but he had passed away. And it was shocking because I was like, oh man, this is going to be such a great, addition. There's multiple Iron Man and Captain America. There's going to be multiple Black Panther. And it was just such a cool story. And when I learned about who Chad Boseman was, I loved it even more. Because he was known for building a legacy. And it went way before or beyond, way beyond and before the films. That was one of his outlets. That's one of the ways he built a legacy, but that was not his purpose. That was not what he wanted to be known for. While he was privately battling cancer. So it's not like he was a movie star and then he got cancer. He was doing all of this while he was battling cancer. And he poured intentionally into others. He poured into young actors. He advocated for Black representation in Hollywood. He was such a man of honor. And as I was reading his story, I was really moved about the fact that he knew his life was ending. And he knew he had the sense of urgency that it came with building a legacy. And as I think about my life and as I think about the things that I went through and how I lost my husband in an instant, and we didn't have time to create the legacy for him. We didn't have time. It was his life that he lived was his legacy as well. And I think back of, my mom who she did battle cancer. We had about 18 months from the time of diagnosis to the time of her funeral. And during that time, she didn't really have to worry about what did my life mean because she lived every day. And that's what we get to do. We don't know what our life is going to look like in the future. We don't know what we're going to go through. We don't know what trials, what challenges. We don't know what great, amazing things are coming our direction. What we know is today, and I don't want this podcast we are not going to go dark with this podcast. I do not want you to start feeling bad and feeling guilty about how you've used your life, but I want you to ask yourself today, if this was all there was, what's going to be said about my legacy? Because when you leave, you do leave behind memories and how you affected and how you inspired and how you influenced others. And the crazy part is we can intentionally do that. So what made Chadwick Boseman's life go beyond made his legacy go beyond his life is that he aligned it with his purpose. He chose roles that inspired cultural pride. He didn't wait. He worked with urgency, knowing his impact mattered more than time. He knew as he was battling cancer, he knew that it was a losing battle. And yet he still chose to keep getting up and doing it and mentoring and pouring into others. And he made his mission to uplift others, mentoring, advocating. He gave generously. So what would change if you lived with urgency, with a sense of purpose, that someone like Chadwick Boseman would. I want to ask you today to challenge yourself and to see, because I know we have this, like, this longing inside of us for our life to mean something. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast if purpose, identity, calling, impact, legacy were not words that when you heard them, you felt something. And so I want to challenge you to take some action today. I want you to think about what we're talking about. And I have an acrostic. I have something that I put together because I just, as I was like, okay, well, how do we create a legacy of intention? How do we create a legacy intentionally? And what can we do right now? Because again, we don't have to start not giant nonprofits. By pouring into others, we're leaving that legacy. By intentionally serving and to use our gifts to the joy and the peace and the benefit of others, we are increasing our legacy. We are pouring into that. And so I was thinking, like, how do we talk about this, or how do we describe it? And one of the things I love traveling. If you haven't known, I love to travel, and I love to see the different architecture that is around. I love looking at how buildings are created. I love looking at the different roof lines. And to me, I was traveling in Belgium, and I have some really great friends who live in Belgium. Like, really, it's family members. I love them so much. And one of the things they talked about, I was noticing the roof lines, and some of them are a little bit ornate, and like there's a lot of ups and downs, and it's kind of decorative. And then there's a lot that are very straight, that are level, that don't have a lot of elegance to them, or there's not a lot of decoration to them. And so we're talking about this. It's like, so how do they choose, or what was the significance of it? And in my opinion, I was like, okay, well, the ones that have the like the ups and downs and and I was like, maybe they're the wealthy people. And the ones that are just straight and simple, maybe those are the poorer individuals, and they weren't able to make it a little more grand. And it's interesting because it was the opposite. The straighter it is, the more level, it's because that grandeur, that they could make it level. And so it didn't need to have the fancy, like they did more on the inside, they did more. And so it's just fascinating to me that it was really these bricks and this decoration was to hide some of the flaws and some of the things that they couldn't do. Like, you couldn't get on a lot of the roofs of those buildings because they were not as strong, because they didn't have that ability in there. Like, they didn't put the money in the roof line to be able to go stand on there. And so it's just interesting to me. And I was looking at, what does it mean? And when I travel, a lot of times you see these amazing monuments. You see these statues, that are built for status and wealth and recognition. You see these grand, in parks and things. You see the statues of, these stately men on horses. And when I was in Greece, you see these elegant, like in marble, and even the statue of David. It just, the grandeur and the luxury, the wealth, the beauty. And no matter what material it's made from, over time, the elements are going to get to it. Over time, there's going to be, even the oxygen and the carbon dioxide in rooms. That's why in a lot of like art galleries, the art is protected in glass, because of the carbon dioxide is messing with the paints. And so the monument represents a legacy built for status, wealth, and recognition. But over time, it erodes, or it gets ignored. Like, it's at a park that you just walk by. It loses relevance because you don't know who that dude is. You just know clearly he meant something at some day. But then there's also that ripple. And I talked about the ripple effect, and how when you put a stone in, like, you throw it into the lake, there's just ripples, and it actually goes on further than you see, because of just the law of, objects in motion stay in motion. And so the ripple represents a living legacy, small actions that create waves of impact long after you're gone. And this is typically just like every single drop in the water, every intentional step you take expands onward, touching lives in ways that you'll never fully see. This is why I say you don't really know the true and the deep impact of your actions this side of heaven. You don't know how pouring into one person shifts their life and enables them to pour into 2 others, and then 3 others, and then 4 others. You don't see what your one moment can mean. And so what are you trying to build? Are you trying to build a monument legacy? Like, that looks impressive, that might fade, that on the outside it looks like you have it all and you are it all and that you really matter? Are you working on what truly is going to be lasting, that will continue to impact others for generation and generation and generation? And so we get to decide, and not that grandeur is bad. Like, I don't want to say, well, if you're building wealth, that's not it at all, because I do feel like um, when we are building wealth for our family, it does leave a generation of legacies. Like, it's and teaching them how to use it and how to give with it. But just keeping it for yourself, like building it for someone else to see your status. Like, what's the point? And does it even really feel, does it feel good? Um, and is it lasting? And so I wanted to talk about this, what it means, like a step-by-step way that you can intentionally create a meaningful legacy, that you can make those ripple effects, and that it doesn't have to be hard. Again, like, we don't have to make major changes. We get to take a step. We get to meet someone for coffee. We get to talk to a class. We get to bring snacks to a soccer field. Like, there's so many ways that we can pour into people. We can get to encourage someone with a smile. Like, it really doesn't mean that we have to, chuck everything. But it does mean that we need to be intentional. It does mean that we need to know what we want to leave, and that we want to, like, where we want it to go. And so I created this little acrostic. So it spells out the word legacy. And so first L is look back. Identify defining moments in your life. So this is an exercise I do with a lot of my clients when we're trying to discover what future we want and what purpose and what legacy we want to leave. We start with, what are some of the defining moments in your life that you remember? What experiences shaped you? What lessons have you learned that could help others? And I do this because there's what I call highlights. Like, God highlights to us little elements, little like themes throughout our life. And so when we look at that and we start to look at what defining moments we remember, it starts to give us insight to what our next steps are or what values we hold. And so, because we can, like, 2 or 3 of us can go through the same experience and we get different things from it. And that's why we're looking at how we define it and what moments we felt were important. What did we remember is the first step. So the next is E, embrace your strengths, your talents and your gifts. Let's use them for good. God did not give them to you for you. He gave them to use. That's why they're called gifts, because we get to give them. We get to do other things. We get to employ them. We get to grow them. We get to step into them. So what are you naturally good at? How can you use these strengths to serve? How can you use what God's given you? And a lot of times, I was talking with a friend yesterday, and we talked about how so many times we downplay our strengths because it's so easy for us. And when other people look at you and are in awe of how you use your strengths and how it just comes so naturally to you, and they would love for it to be that easy for them. And so look back, embrace your strengths, and then give with intention. So choose how you're going to serve. What cause, what community, where do you feel connected to, deeply connected to? We can't serve everywhere. We can't do everything. I love to say that we can have it all. We just have to define what all is. And this is, we can make a big impact. But do you want to, this is where you get to decide, do you want to go wide or do you want to go deep? And if you want to go wide, great. But if you want to go deep, like, choose to give with intention. What cause or community? What are you? For me, it's helping women with purpose, helping them learn how to communicate, learning what they're, well, how to shine their light. I want to go deep in that area. And so I look for ways that I can give and I can serve by helping women and some men with this, this calling and identity and purpose, and looking at what legacy they can leave. And so the next one is align with your values. That those blasted values show up again, because these values are not here by accident. They're not just a random experiences. They're not just random description words. They matter. They're laid in your heart. They were weaved in your heart by God when you were created. And so make sure your legacy reflects your beliefs. What values do you want your life to represent? What do you want people to say about you long after you're gone? What impact do you want to leave? And where do you want to be like this? Yeah, this is what I learned from Susie. This is what I learned from Tami. This is what and it just changed my life. And so align with your values. The next is C, create impact today. Start now, not later. The question of when's the best time to plant a tree? Well, the answer is 5 years ago. Second best is today, right now. What is one step you can take this week, today, to start living your legacy, to start living? And a lot of times this word legacy has such a weight to it. So how do you start living your values? And how do you start serving your values? That will help you create the impact that you want. And then your legacy lives on. You empower others to carry it forward. How can you mentor? How can you teach? How can you inspire others to continue this work? How can you pour into others so that way, though their legacy may not be the same as yours, by you pouring into them and then encouraging them to pour into others? That's how we carry it forward. That's how we keep the momentum going. And that's how the ripple effects keep going, no matter whether you are continuing to throw rocks in or not. And so it's about intentionality. It's about making a life that, that focuses on what you want to leave. Like, it's in conversations, it's in actions, it's in deeds, it's in public and in private. And we can do this by just looking at what we want. And though we started this conversation with a little bit of life, we talked about some loss. And I want you to know that this isn't a common thing, is when you get to your deathbed, because we're all going to pass. We all, that's one thing that is a given. And not to go dark with this. However, I really want to pour light on this, because what do you want people to say about you when you're gone? And what do you want people to say about you when you leave the room, when you leave a job, when you are, serving on doing a project? And so what's one small action today that can create this ripple effect? Do you need to pour into your child? Do you need to pour into a neighbor? Do you need to pour into a friend? Do you need to take someone to coffee? Do you need to find someone to mentor, or to mentor you? So I want to challenge you today. I want you to really look at what your legacy is and start it. So whatever it could, and it's so crazy, because everything that I talk about, it really has to do with people. That it's the things fade, they stop, technology will grow and it will become obsolete. People don't. And so though there's things and gifts that we can do, who are you being? Who are you pouring into? And so when I say start your legacy today, I really do want to encourage you to, how can you affect other people? Whether it's mentoring, whether it's volunteering, whether it's creating. What about writing? What are you called to do? Speaking, just encouraging. What can you do that will pour into someone else? And I want to encourage you to take an action today, to do it, to text someone and let them know that you are thinking of them, to pray for someone who you haven't prayed for before, but God's placed them on your heart, to take a step and to look at what your defining moments were in your life that you've already lived and see how some of those themes are affecting your present. Because there's ideas, there's highlights all over of what our purpose is. And it is a direct relationship with the impact we're making is part of the purpose that God's created us for, which is the legacy that we get to leave. Like, these are not individual things and different concepts. They all feed into one, and we get to step into it. We get to get quiet for a moment. We get to pour into others. So I want to encourage you, no matter what you're doing, no matter what job you have, what your purpose you believe is, no matter what your gifts are, no matter what your values are, I want you to take a moment and just say, okay, with what I know about me now, what's one legacy? What's one thing that I want someone to say about me when I'm gone? One thing that I want people to say about me is that I cared, that I saw good in others, and that I help inspired others to shine. That's one of the legacies I want to leave, is I want people to say that I was able to shine because Tami gave me the confidence to, because Tami pointed out something in me that I didn't see in myself. And that is what I choose. I look for opportunities throughout the day to do, whether I know the person or not, whether I know if it mattered to them or not. That's a moot point, or as Joey says, it's a moot point. But it is the matter of that intentional step. And when God encourages me, when he prompts for me to just go in and do it. So I want to call you to action today. I want you to take the challenge and start your legacy today. So I want you to look back, embrace your strengths, give with intention, align with your values, create impact today, right now. Start now, not later, and see how your legacy lives on by empowering others. So friend, if you're ready to you are you're a high achiever, you are a go-getter, and I know you're tired. I know that you are exhausted. But I also know that you're longing for more. If you're ready to figure out what is holding you back, then I want you to go and take the quiz that I created after over a decade of working in this field and studying and learning and asking for guidance on this subject and praying about this. When you're ready to figure out what's holding you back and how we can start to get your legacy working today, go and take the quiz. It's 7 questions. It takes like 2 to 3 minutes. And I mean, if you're a slow reader, it's still it may be 5 minutes, but it is so short. But I know that is such a great first step. So I want to encourage you, TamiMurrayCoaching.com/quiz. Go take it today and start this journey. We don't want to wait until we're on our deathbed and say, I wish that this would have happened. I lost these opportunities. I regret not using the gifts that God gave me. I regret not discovering what God wanted to do with them. It is every day I get to get uncomfortable and push myself to use what God's given me a little bit more. There's an excitement, there's a peace, there's a joy, and there's a love, and there's a fulfillment in it that I can rest in the fact that it's God that's going to make the ripple effects, that I just get to take the action. And it really could be that simple. To go and take the quiz. And then also, if you haven't signed up for my next masterclass, going from success to significance. If you want to figure out why success has been feeling empty and what to do about it, how to have success, legacy, and significance in your life, come to this masterclass. I've created with you in mind based on questions that you have been asking me. And I just want to share some of my secrets and help you start to live the life that you were called to live. All right, the show notes, the link is in the show notes. And I'm so glad you're here, and I can't wait to talk to you soon. All right, bye for now.